In Luke 22, he says in verse 17, and when he had taken a cup, probably a wooden cup, and given thanks, he said, take this and share it among yourselves. Today we use juice. Back then they probably used wine. He says, for I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now on until the kingdom of God comes. And when he had taken some bread and given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying this. Verse 19. He says, this is my body. Today we use this, but back then it was real bread. He says, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And in the same way, he took the cup after they had eaten, saying, this cup, which is poured out for you, is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of the one betraying me is with me on the table. For indeed the Son of Man is going as it has been determined, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to discuss among themselves which one of them it might be who was going to do this thing. What exactly was the Passover? The Passover goes back to Moses, when the children of Israel were in slavery for 430 years under Pharaoh, king of Egypt, because of Joseph, who had been sold into slavery. And when God had made plans with Moses, he sent Moses from Mount Sinai to Egypt to ask for Pharaoh to release the Jews so that they may go and worship him in the wilderness, so that he could be their God and they could be his people. 10 plagues it took for Pharaoh and his people to release the Jews. But one of the plagues, which was to destroy the firstborn of Egypt, the Lord told the Jews to kill an animal and to put blood on the top of their doorpost so that the spirit of death would pass over that house and would not kill the firstborn of Egypt, or would not kill the firstborn of the Jews. That was the Passover that the Jews celebrated throughout the ages as a reminder of what God had done for them when they were in captivity for 430 years. So that was the Passover in the time of Christ that they were about to celebrate. And it was at this Passover in the upper room that Jesus took the bread and the cup and began a new covenant in his blood that had not yet been shed on Calvary's cross for the sins of man. Let's go to Matthew 27. When you go to Matthew 27, so in Matthew 27, after Jesus had been taken into captivity, remember Judas went to figure out a way to betray him.
isn't business. This is part of the ministry. They don't have to give it. I mean, I get it. Oh, no. The sign in itself is part of what I'm saying here. These people, this is a reminder to the church. These people don't have to give anything. It's not what you're saying. It's not a business. It's not what you're saying. It's a reminder to the church. That's all that is. But because it's a stumbling block for you, I'll close it.
The security was simply reminding me that in this square here, this town square, this Pioneer Square, people are not allowed to ask for money, but businesses are allowed to charge people for food, like Starbucks and these things here. We are not allowed to ask for money, panhandling. The church is not allowed to ask for tithing, but the world is allowed to have their businesses. Why is it that the devil is allowed to have their businesses? Why is it that the devil is allowed to raise his money by selling coffee and selling food, but God's church is not allowed to ask for a tithing? God's church is not allowed to remind the church that they need what? They need to give. Unwelcome guest was Judas Iscariot. Unwelcome guest was the devil. Unwelcome guest was the one who made sure that Jesus was crucified. Unwelcome guest. If the Ku Klux Klan could go back to the first century and give Jesus their response, what would it be? If the Ku Klux Klan could go back to the first century to give Jesus a response, what would it be? In our generation, the Klan burns the cross of Christ. Do they also burn the message of the cross? This is, in our generation, what the cross has become. Men burn the cross. But what is the message of the cross? And this is why those three questions are there. Why did Jesus die on that cross? What did he accomplish while he was dead? Why did he resurrect from the grave? Why did he bother coming back?
I want to know.
So we go to Matthew 27. It says here, now when morning had come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. Why? To fulfill what Isaiah 53 had prophesied. And they bound him and led him away and delivered him up to Pilate, the governor. Then when Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that he had been condemned, he felt remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders,
What do you tell that person?
saying, I have sinned
Did you guys fight against each other?
by betraying innocent blood. Judas felt remorse for betraying the Christ and says, I have sinned. by betraying innocent blood.
Divide yourselves.
But they said,
I'm talking to you.
what is that to us?
Yes.
See that your
I asked you first.
see
the other day,
to that yourself.
But you kicked me out, and now you're preaching.
I have sinned by betraying
Stop.
innocent blood.
And yet will not give any preaching
But they
word.
said, what is that to us?
They asked
See to that yourself.
you with speech when they spoke up.
And he threw the pieces of silver into the sanctuary and departed. And he went away and hanged himself. Wow. The disciple who betrayed Jesus committed suicide. The disciple who betrayed Jesus because he was listening to the voice of Lucifer, probably at the time, because Satan had entered him, committed suicide. Took himself out of the entire picture.
What is wrong? Why haven't we changed? Why is the world still in damnation? That's that. The only preaching about my head, man.
So he threw the 30 pieces, the pieces of silver, into the sanctuary
What was the
and
point?
departed. And he went away and hanged himself. And the chief priests took the pieces of silver and said, it is not lawful to put them into the temple treasury, since it is the price of blood. And they counseled together. And with the money, they bought the potter's field as a burial place for strangers.
Did you take my weed?
For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood
Because I love weed.
to this day.
I smoke weed.
Then that which was spoken through Jeremiah the prophet
When I was smoking weed, what would you say?
was fulfilled, saying, and they took the 30 pieces of silver,
Answer me, you
the
sinner.
price of the one whose price,
Because I'm a sinner too.
the price of the one whose price had been set by the sons of Israel.
So if I tell you that you have a
And they gave them for the potter's field as the Lord directed me.
What is it?
Verse 11 of Matthew 27.
The only thing they want to know is
Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor questioned him, saying, are you the king of the Jews?
do you see anything?
And Jesus said to him, it is as you say. America, is Jesus the king of the Jews?